up with it. Do it cause I love it and I stuck with it. We ain't with the subbing in the cut with it. Please, none of the talks, I heard enough of it. Like, what you gonna do? Where you at? Who you with? You ain't really about this, don't talk about it. Really on the move, on the map, never slip. Keep your hands to your lips, don't talk about it. Real eyes, real lies all the time. Stand on it, if we said it, we don't walk around it. Loose lips, sink ships, red cup, blue strips, new phone, who this? No, we don't allow it. Really on go, I don't know what's an off day. Now we on road, came from smoking in the hallway. Now we got...
Happy Friday. We are in the building here to give y'all another great episode, and I am excited about it. As you can see, the crew is here. Somebody came in ran in here with their dreads in the wind, but we greatly appreciate him being here with us tonight, fresh off of the JOB. DJ is in the building.
Yeah, I was having some technical difficulties at work, but you know, I'm here. I made it. What's up, everybody?
That's what's up. I greatly appreciate it. Glad you made it. And of course, DA is in
what
the
it
building.
do, what it is, what it be like. It's me, aka aka what did he just say? AKA I know he didn't just say that. Yeah. It's your boy DA. Don't hate. I told you it'd be different every time. Keep you on your toes.
Never a dull moment with you, sir. Never a dull moment.
That's life, man. Life should never be dull.
I feel that very much. I definitely feel
never
that.
Be dull. Hey, when we gonna start letting people smoke cigars on the show? I just asked. Oh, she got that look. Oh shit! I must have struck a nerve.
No, somebody fussing at her or something.
Oh yeah, she talking through her teeth. Ooh.
Because
I
can light mine up right now. She says okay.
Really? No, somebody's time was off. He didn't realize what time it was, so he asked him for some pizza that's already in there. That's what I bought it for.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah. He was like, I am so sorry. Like, okay, dude. Oh boy. Oh yeah. So we are definitely in the building. Tonight we are going to do the part 2 to grief and trauma. A lot of y'all had requested the part 2. So here we are about to get this thing going. So before we get started, we just want to give a briefing on the last episode before we bring our guest on. So we're gonna let DA handle that.
All right, what up? So the last time we had this wonderful individual on, she broke it down. She gave us a definition of what grief is and how it impacts individuals. Like basically what it was she said grief is when you suffer a loss and you deal with that loss. And pretty much then we talk about the grief. Let me back up. We talk about grief and trauma and how they go hand in hand. With trauma, you know, it's something that happens out abnormally. I like to say something that's not normal that happens on a normal basis or whatever you want to call it, how you want to say it. But so we talked about that, and she kind of went over. We started to go over the symptoms. So tonight we're gonna dig deeper into grief and trauma. I don't want to beat y'all over the head with a play-by-play because I want y'all to be free thinkers. I want y'all to think of things and questions and comments as we go down this journey and dealing with grief. And one thing I will say, watching it again over and over and over, is this is a topic that is talked about a lot, but talked over. And when I say talked over, it's not really, nobody wants to go deep, go down that rabbit hole when it comes to grief and trauma. It's like that like that taboo topic. You want to just, yeah, we know about it. We just gonna leave it alone and keep it moving. And tonight we want you to be able to go take this journey with us. That's the word I'm gonna use. Take this journey with us down this hole, and hopefully at the end, somebody, I don't care if it's just one person, get some type of relief or some type of enlightenment about what they could be or what they are going through. How was that?
Sounds good.
I think it was good, bro. You did it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Y'all be making me feel like I'm special ed sometimes.
No comments. No
But anyway.
comments. All right. Well, I thank you for that. Definitely thank you for that. So without further ado, we are going to bring this fantastic person on. We've pretty much pretty much claimed her as our resident therapist, because she done been on here like 3-4 times already. And we got some other stuff planned. So we doing our own kidnapping over here and claiming her. And she's good people. Like, man, that like this, like my sis, like right here, like she good people. I love her to death already. We be on the same page. She just
born and raised in Port Arthur.
Yeah, so definitely love her, and we are bringing Larneka.
Hey, I heard you say about PA. That's what I'm talking about. Port Arthur. Hey, all right. I'm okay with being a resident therapist. Okay, I like that. So thank you very much for having me once again, twice in well, shoot, how many weeks?
Well, actually, like 3, because you was just here the second week of January, and now you did the first week of February. So yeah, you know, and then we got you back.
Oh, so we finna schedule like once a month. She gonna be on.
That's what it kind of seemed like, huh?
Basically, that's what it is. We already have her booked for March.
Did we do a March date?
I want to say we did a March. I know we talked about.
We're supposed to be on a much needed vacay, Lord. Much needed vacay.
That's right. You on vacay, and we talked about you coming back after that.
Other than that date, let me know, because
we got the topic. There you go.
We're gonna start charging. We're gonna start talking. Hey, have people calling in.
Okay.
You on the line with LA.
Look at it.
There you go.
Thank y'all so much. I do appreciate it. You know, any opportunity that I have to be able to educate people and advocate for mental health, I'm down for it. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate the love. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Oh, most definitely. We appreciate you as well. Like it's funny. Like I said, you came down my timeline and need. And here we are.
Here we are. That's it. I am grateful for that. That's a divine fiction right there.
Yes, sometimes the universe still got a way of aligning some stuff.
Okay.
So, like I said, here we are.
I am definitely here for it.
Definitely. All right, here we go. So, DA, you want to kick off with tonight?
Oh hell yeah! You know me. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it. Like. So last time you was on, we briefly talked about this, but can we go in detail about the stages of grief? Because folks understand grief, like they may be grieving, but they don't understand potentially the emotions or feelings or things that may come from in that. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, definitely. Excuse me. Typically, when we are grieving or when we think about somebody that's grieving, we think, oh, they're sad all the time, they're crying. And if somebody's not crying, or at least showing that they're crying, you think they're not grieving. Or maybe they themselves think, well, I haven't been crying, so I guess I'm good. But they got a lot of other stuff that's going on that we experience. So some of the symptoms before I get into the actual stages. Feelings of intense pain and sorrow, thinking about the loss over and over again. I mean, who doesn't, but that's part of it. unable to really focus and function in anything. Like it might be work. You might try to push stuff down to work or keep moving or whatever you're doing. Like some people lose a loved one, they at work the next day. It's like, well, what? I couldn't sit home. That's their thing. It's like, well, okay, and I get it. I get all of it really. But you'll have a lot of that going on. Sometimes you have depression. Sometimes you have high anxiety. And sometimes people have suicidal ideation. That doesn't mean that everybody that experiences grief is going to feel suicidal, but that's a possibility. Okay, so I think when we think of grief, we tend to think of the depression part of it. So looking at the stages of grief, everybody have their theory of different stages. I have pretty much been a proponent to the 7 stages of grief. Whenever I have my workshops or support groups or grief series, that's something that I've been talking about, the 7 stages of grief. Now, it doesn't mean that when somebody passed or we lose somebody, stage 1 is going to be this, and stage 2 is this. It's not that. These are just some different stages that kind of cycle around from time to time. The first one is shock. It's almost like a feeling of like this numbness, like someone I'll reference someone passing because it's easier. Someone passed away, and it's just like, is it real? Is it not real? Thoughts can be running. You have this shock. Then you may have a denial, and it's not a denial that they're gone. It's a denial of feelings. It's like if I allow myself to feel pain, that means this person is really gone. So a lot of times people they'll try not to sit with it. They'll try not to feel it. They will stuff it, keep working, keep moving, do something else, maybe take a drink, take a smoke, take a something, just to try not to have those feelings, being in denial of their feelings. From there, you could have anger. A lot of people express grief differently. A lot of people express sadness or depression differently, typically with men, only because men have been taught don't cry. Boys don't cry. Men don't show emotion. It's a sign of weakness. So those emotions typically come out aggressively. I knew a lady, excuse me, back in the day, her daughter drowned. I was about 7 years old, and she drowned at the beach. And, I'm 7, so I'm observant. I realized I was a very observant child. Who knew I was going to be a therapist one day? But I remember this lady, she was pretty cool. My cousin was best friends to her daughter, and so we'd be playing over there. And then after the girl passed away, my cousin would go when we were at my grandma's house and check on the lady, just kind of say hello, and she just changed. And I remember, like, through the years, she was angry. Like, there was a lot of anger and hostility there. And then later on in life, my mom has said that after, my friend had passed away, that the mom was never the same. She blamed the people who were out there for not saving her child. And so she held on to that. And as I became a therapist and grief has been my niche, thinking back, it's like, well, she was stuck in that stage. Because she would try to be cool, but it was a lot of anger, bitterness, a lot of that there, and that now I get what that was all about. Then you would have like some bargaining. Man, if I could get them back, I'd do this differently. If this could change, if I could have changed something, I would have done something differently. There's guilt. Maybe I should have called more. Maybe I should have been there. Maybe I shouldn't have let my child go to the beach and this wouldn't have happened. And maybe I should have, relationships, maybe been attentive more. Maybe I worked too much. Maybe I did whatever too much. Those feelings of guilt. Then you'll have like this acceptance. At some point through all of these things, we typically accept the fact that our loved one is gone, that the relationship has ended, maybe our health is different, whatever. We get to a point of acceptance, and then there's like this forward movement. Now, that doesn't mean that this happens sequentially and then the end. That doesn't mean that. Because even though you have acceptance, You can cycle right back to feeling guilty. You can cycle right back to being angry. You can cycle right back to depression. Typically, the way it goes, it just flows. And it flows and it flows and it flows. One day, you might not feel as whatever, angry. You might not feel as guilty. You may not feel as what have you. It's something it's a cycle. There's no expiration date. There's no, it's been 5 years, 10 years, 33 years. We celebrated the anniversary of my grandmother's death. And triggers. My mom, I watched her grieve. I guess I was that child. I was paying attention to everybody. I watched my mom grieve because my grandmother, that was like everything to me. That was our matriarch of the family, all these things. And just Mother's Days was hell. My mom was going through it. This year, my grandmother's anniversary was January 23rd. I always do my grief support groups around. I always start them around that time. It's symbolic of that. And so Mom, I had to think about it. I hadn't really talked with her about it. Let me call her later that night. We kind of talked. And she was okay. Now, when it really got to her, the day I had my workshop in Port Arthur was the day they buried my grandmother, the 27th. My mom was in bed. Now, she wasn't feeling well, too, but she was in bed, and my sister was like, what's going on? I said, today's the day. And she was like, oh, that's what it is. Like, yeah. So, it's triggers, anniversaries, holidays. You may go, you go through these cycles, things get a little easier. You may be fine, and here's a trigger. It could be a holiday. It could be an anniversary. It could be something on TV, maybe a movie y'all saw, maybe a book, maybe a time of the year. Something will give you a trigger. And that doesn't mean, I messed up on my process. It's a trigger. It brought memories. It brought some emotions, some sadness, some what have you. And I would say allow yourself to feel it. The best way to go through these cycles of grief is just allow yourself to feel it and understand what you're feeling. If you are angry, what are you angry about? But really sit with that and think about it. Why am I mad? What's going on? Because we can project that onto other people. That part. I'm feeling a way, I'm already upset, and somebody at work come with something, boop, they're going to get it. What? Don't come in here. Not today. You mad at the world. But the world didn't really do you nothing. You're grieving. And I think once you can understand, maybe you want to stay home that day. I don't know, whatever you got to do to make you feel better in that respect, healthy wise. You do that and manage that anger if that's what you're feeling. If you're feeling depressed, I don't want to get out of bed. I would say give yourself that day. But the next day, get back up. Let's go. I think when we get stuck in those different stages or different cycles, that's an unhealthy way to grieve, and that's what can mess us up. But just grieving, let people grieve. Don't tell the people, don't cry. Let the people cry. They want to cry. Don't be doing that. Who was that? I was listening to something, and they was telling somebody. Somebody was telling me, I don't know who I was talking to. You go to the funeral, don't be doing all that clowning. Why not the people, if they want to go jump in the casket, that's up to them. You know what I'm saying?
But sometimes that be a little too much though. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it just be overboard.
But it depends on the person. Is that what you feeling? Are you showing out?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
if you showing out, then go and sit down. But if that's what that person is feeling, I can't take that from them. Now them people that be trying to fight, this my baby daddy and all that junk at the service. Now y'all could have did that before y'all got to church. Y'all could have did that before y'all got there. That junk, I don't know. That's too much there. But if people falling out now, you gotta express it. I let them get that out.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say that the hoodie you got on is awesome. I have one of the one with the fist with the 3 fists. That's the one I'm wearing right now.
Awesome.
But as far as the denial factor, as well as the denial of emotions, is also the denial of their presence. Because from personal experience, I remember when my pop passed away, I didn't want to accept it. Like, it was like 3 months before I was able to accept the fact that he was no longer here.
Yeah.
When someone would mention it, it's almost like I wanted to argue with him that he's still here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until 3 months later, I had a dream, and he came to me in a dream and told me that I had to let go
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
dream. And it wasn't until then I denied the fact that he was no longer on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened to me, my grandfather. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like denying the fact that he was gone. It was just like stuff that I would normally do when he was here. I kept doing the same thing, like he was still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally got into an argument with someone about him still being here.
Oh damn. Yeah,
It
nah.
was that extreme.
Wow. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was able to accept it that I was able to move on in the grieving process. I was stuck.
Yeah. But nah, my grandfather came to me, did the same thing.
Mhm.
It was crazy because I'm still trying to understand what the hell with us on riding a golf cart through the hood had to do with. But yeah, we was in a golf cart rolling.
He had to get your
down the street.
attention. He had to make sure you get your attention with it.
Mhm.
I guess so, because he sure got it. Because I'm looking like, Granddad, what you doing with a golf cart? Like, what?
Sure, he letting you know he was good. That he's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's all good. And hey, let
Yeah.
go.
And that's the crazy part about it. 'Cause that's his exact word. He was like, man, I'm doing good. He said it's okay to let go. Take care of your grandmama, and that was it.
Yeah.
He stopped. He dropped me off at the meat market that's around the corner from my grandmama's house, and that was the last time I saw him.
Okay.
Golf cart.
Okay. And I think that we do little things to try to hold on as much as we can because we don't want to face the reality of the person not being here anymore. Because I think sometimes people won't use terms like dead or passed away. They may say not here, some other words, because it's different. It's difficult. It's difficult. You know, grieving is losing anybody that you love, whether it's to death or in a relationship or what have you. It's hard. We used to having a person around. You know, we want to talk with them, laugh with them, all of the earthly things that we do with them. You know, and all of a sudden that's gone. Yeah, that's going to be painful. But notice that now I'm going a little spiritual now. Y'all pull me back in if I go too far out.
Don't know.
You know, spiritually, I do believe that we can talk with them, and it's a whole different realm. It's a whole different level. But I think you can communicate with them, and they communicate with us spiritually. You know, my grandmother, they know I'm scary. And I done already said, if y'all coming, y'all better catch me in a dream because I don't want y'all to be walking through here. Because y'all know I'm going outside for real in real life, okay? And so I've had times where I'm dreaming, I'm going back into what my grandmother's house looked like when I was a child. You know, she died when I was 13. They've since done renovations to her house and things have changed, but I'm back to whatever this childhood looked like. And she'll be there and it'll be like normal. But then in my mind, wait a minute, she dead. Then boom, here I'm back, woke up or it switched to something. You know, and that's when people say, well, she was coming to visit you, you know, it's okay. And I'm like, girl, you know, let me you know, I love you, but you know, okay. But I think that, you know, we might leave physically, but spiritually, you know, they're right, the ancestors, everybody, all that stuff. You know, that's real as real is to me.
So once we realize that the person is no longer here, and we start understanding those 7 steps or stages, right, of grief, like how do we like move forward? You know, because I think a lot of times we don't realize that we're in that space of grieving simply because we just don't have an understanding, you know, of the difference of mourning and grieving, right? So once we come to that realization, then how do we begin, you know, to move forward, to process what's going on, if you will?
once you can get that understanding, educate yourself of what that is, and become self-aware, analyze yourself. What am I doing each day? It's helpful to find a new norm for your life. If you and your loved one every day got up and drank coffee and watched Young and the Restless or something, I don't know, you may want to find a new norm, a new habit, a new something for you to do. As anything, I'll tell anybody, take it one day at a time. Here's today. What is today going to look like for me? Plan, be intentional with things that you do. A lot of times we coast. We on autopilot, we coast. The same thing today in the morning and the evening tomorrow. Same thing in the day in the morning and the evening tomorrow. We need to be intentional with the direction our life is going. Yeah. You can still memorialize your loved one. You can still have a cup of coffee and say, I love you, and keep it moving. Is when you get stuck in it, and like you said, don't want to be, you're in denial and don't want to accept the fact that they're not here, is the trouble. But memorializing them, saying something, acknowledging them in some kind of way, nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with having a picture or ashes, however you do, and nothing's wrong with that. It's when you don't allow yourself to move forward. So the way to move forward is take it one day at a time. Set intentions and goals for yourself. Focus on yourself, self-care, hobbies, social stuff, just live. Focus on living. Focus on what it is that you may need to do with yourself. And once you begin to focus on yourself and your life and goals, each day is a different day. Each day can be a little easier, a little different. Some days might be hard, and that doesn't mean you regress in some kind of way. It just means, hey, it was that day. I had a hard day. I normally talk to my grandma, grandfather, whoever. They're not here anymore. So I have to figure out what I can do during these tough days. Maybe I could talk with them spiritually, pray about it, but what else can I do healthy to get through these bad days?
Yeah.
I think
I was having a conversation. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think one of the crazy things that brings forth a piece of reality is when you just out of sight, out of mind, you call a phone number, and depending how long they've been gone, you either get the voicemail or the number is disconnected. Because I know for me, that was one of my things with my grandmother is, I don't know, it'd be these random times I would call the number, didn't realize that's what I did. Wow. And the numbers got the, and I'm like, oh, wow. And then it was, I think the first time I was asleep and I heard her call my name. And her name is very distinct. She said my name a certain way. So when I heard it, I jumped up and I was like, ma'am. And looked, and it was like, wasn't nobody there. And I was like,
yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
I believe they're around. I mean, I can't imagine we have a soul, a spirit, what have you, that's in us, and it just don't go nowhere. I think there's a lot we don't know on that side, but who's to say? I can't, people who, my cousins, we talk, my grandmother was it for us. And so my, family members, they talk about, they saw her walking in the kitchen. That's why I keep saying, don't come in my, look, I love you. I don't know about the kitchen walk, but y'all visit me in the dream, we good. But I couldn't imagine that spirit, that soul is either just sleeping as some, I don't want to get into religion, but I can imagine they're around, put it like that. I can imagine that they are around, and if we need them, they'll come. Even if we don't think we need them, they still may show up. I don't know what I'll be going through when grandma come in a dream, and I just have to pray about it, because it's like, okay, maybe it's something. Is she just saying hi, or is she trying to give me a message about something? I don't know,
So I'm gonna piggyback off of DJ. So, like, not knowing and understanding, once you understand the stages of grief, is there a time limit? Like, if it get to a certain point, should you get concerned?
I think that, and I won't say a time limit per se. I think if you are going through grief and you recognize you're not moving, you're not progressing, you are still upset, you're still depressed after how long you think maybe you should be or shouldn't be, then maybe you should come talk to somebody, to help you get through those stages, to help you better understand what you're going through. I have a grief support group. They got lots of grief support groups out there. We give techniques, tools, coping, just some whole space for each other as we go through the process. Some people loved one died last year. Some people loved one died 10 years ago. And they may recognize, okay, I'm not where I think I should be in this walk. You are self-aware. You know what you got going on better than I can say, oh, it's been 6 years. What's the matter? Don't do folk that. But if you within yourself feel like something ain't right, I don't know, I can't get past this, it's hard, I'm really having a hard time, then please come talk to somebody. Talk to a professional, join a support group, because you might not be as bad off as you think you are, because I think people have an expectation of when grief should end for them. It's not that you just not going to ever feel anything. It's just that it gets a little easier to deal with. You may have days you don't even think about it. You can go months without thinking about whatever, and then here comes Christmas. Here comes the anniversary of their death. Here comes maybe a special event in your life, and you wish they would have been there to see your accomplishments and everything, and that could trigger some stuff. And I would say when those things happen, be prepared. Christmas comes, think about happy memories, not just, oh, my grandma not here, I'm so sad. But I remember when she was here, she used to make that macaroni and cheese with that government cheese, Jesus. Okay.
Hey, don't knock that government cheese now.
Hey,
You better get that macaroni and cheese with that government cheese together. Okay, that was the best thing I think I ate in life. Okay.
And that grilled cheese with the government cheese. All right, I'm sorry.
Yes.
In that oven, my grandma would put it in the oven on broil. And baby, it was because that's how you was gonna melt that cheese. You better broil it. Okay.
So, I have a question real quick. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, right? And her mother wound up getting sick and having to move in with her, right? Mm-hmm. And so she had to adjust her whole way of life, her career. She had to be more home, not on the go as much. And although her mother was still living, she was grieving the life that she used to live, and did not even realize that was going on until it got closer to her mother's transition. So as far as grieving the loss, it's not always just dealing with death, but I think we don't even realize that we're in that grieving process. Like, say for instance, if we lose a job, kids go off to college, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely. That's what you're saying.
Gonna hit that. See, we on the same wavelength.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you don't realize it. You don't realize it because, like I said, we're on autopilot. We just move things. If you're not really self-aware, you just know that, okay, I have to do this. You're not thinking about what it does and how it affects us. You say, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. And then you might see your friends going off and doing some things, and you got to stay home and take care of your loved one. Being a caretaker is tough. It is tough, because you lose yourself in it. A lot of people do. And that's where we try to caution people who are caregivers to try to use the village if you can, to be able to take some time for yourself as well. But with that, yes, a loss of a change in life. You consider it a change in life because you have to. And even people who lived independent lives and maybe they have a stroke or something, or go in a nursing home. We kind of put folk in a nursing home and keep going. There are people going through a lot of depression and grief because before they were independent, they could go and walk and drive their car and do everything they could do. And then now they stuck to a place where people they don't even really know, and maybe your loved one come visit you, maybe they don't, and that got to be a tough spot. And I think it's the same thing with that, being intentional and what you want your life to look like. I can imagine that's hard being a caretaker. God knows that may be my journey at some point in life. And practicing self-care is important. Like I said, use your village. If somebody can come sit with your loved one for a minute while you could just go breathe, that can be helpful as well. And so the acceptance of, okay, this is where I am, having to take care of my loved one, and then being intentional with what can I do? This is, my life has changed. This is the change. What can I do around this to be able to still live a bit, to still have something? Because my norm has changed, but it doesn't have to be the end of anything for me. What can I do and how can I do it? It just have to be intentional with a lot of it,
You just made me think, cause like they know. Well, I'm gonna let everybody know. My father had, like, last year he had like 9 strokes,
Oh, wow.
and so his whole thing was don't put me on a home. Like, he was in the rehab center, which was connected to the nursing home. And when I tell you, this dude was trying to break out, like, he had, I don't know how he got it. He got the code to the front door. He was getting out so much they had to put 2 ankle monitors on him
Oh, man.
because he figured out how to get one off. And like, when you said that, it made me. I didn't put myself in his shoes.
Yeah.
Like, his whole world, because like even now he's fighting to get his license because the doctors, well, not the doctor, the DMV in Texas deemed him medically unable to drive. So now he's fighting to get his license back. He's fighting all that stuff, and I'm just like, man, why don't you just chill out and sit down? But now, like, you put it in perspective for me. So
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, yeah, that's he's going from independent to being restrained.
And that's got to be tough. That's got to be. I feel away when my car in the shop, and I gotta
Man.
It's like, dang, I got to try to see if I can get an Uber, or can I get a ride from a coworker or something. That mess my whole day up, and that's just in that moment. Can you imagine the rest of the person's life having to, or at least for a period of time? Because sometimes people go to rehabilitation places, they stay in there for a period of time, and then they can go back home to the family just in that moment, or for those who are there for the rest of their lives, being in the home. That's gotta be tough. That's truly gotta be tough. And that's why we give people grace. We try to give them grace, and then we give grace to ourselves, because a lot of times we have to do what we have to do to make certain we're good and that they're good. And if that's the best placement for them to get the care that they need, then we have to be intentional with going and visiting and realizing, okay, this connection, they still need that connection. We have to, try to find that balance with our own lives that we want to do, and to be able to still have a connection with them to go visit to make certain everything is good. So, yeah.
So, before we get too far, because I know this was something that I was asked to remind somebody to bring up. DJ had a situation that he just came to grips with some friends that passed away some years back. Want to go ahead and go into that, sir?
Yeah, I can. So it was, I would say, over 15 years ago, I lost a couple of friends at the same time, right? And like, literally, it wasn't until last year that I understood that I had been in denial that whole 15-year process, and not even realizing it. I mean, so much to the fact to where, like, I went through those 7 stages literally sometimes daily. And it's, yeah, hold on, give me a moment.
That's okay.
That's good. Hey, trust me, I've been there, homie. Trust and believe.
But it was, yeah, so TK was a big support during this process of of even just coming to an understanding, being able to accept that closure, not literally holding my hand, but just kind of walking me through, things that was necessary at the time. I think one of the main things is just having that self-awareness, being aware of what you're dealing with, if you will. Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, that self-awareness, because we're on that autopilot. I think the more we know, the better we can govern ourselves. And if we don't know, we just going on feelings and emotions, and a lot of times as a defense mechanism, we can even dissociate. We can even block it out like it truly didn't happen, and that's a whole different thing. Right there, that's a whole, it's a mental safeguard. Your body don't want you to, your brain doesn't want you to feel all the pain and trauma, so it protects you from it. So it kind of dissociates, it numbs you out. You kind of may even not remember that it truly happened, depending on, especially something traumatic, especially something real traumatic, like it gets blocked out. And people be like, but dang, what's wrong with them? Why they acting like they don't? Because they probably dissociated. They don't even know that. They really don't know that. That's a defense mechanism, a safety mechanism, if you will.
Yeah, I think that because that happened to me, and at first I didn't understand why, because like when I was in Iraq my first time, like I lost a lot of friends, like talking to them one day, and the next thing you know, hey, you heard about such and such? Oh, they got blown up or blah blah blah, whatever. And like at the time, I could remember their names and faces, and then as time went on, it's like I'm saying, like, shit, I see their face, I just can't remember their names, and I'm like, and I started getting mad at myself, because how am I being a true friend to them, and I can't even remember their name now? You know what I'm saying? And I talked to somebody, and it was like, that's because mentally it was wearing you down.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your brain trying to protect you from that. And I was just like, and the crazy part about it, I'm in the field and I didn't even realize it. So yeah.
I think that we have a lot of things that go on within us that we are not aware of. And so I think as we go on, as we learn, as we take time to sit with ourselves and kind of analyze ourselves, scan our bodies, figuring out, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? I think we have to really sit down and take time with self and really, journal. That's a good way to really look at it. What am I feeling? How am I feeling? Why? Especially if you feel yourself feeling irritated, or you feel something that's not your norm, sit with that. Why am I feeling this way? Think about it. What's going on? And it could bring you down a rabbit hole, and that's a good rabbit hole, because you're trying to determine what's going on with me. Where did this start? And then once you find the start, okay, now what? Now you got to talk to it. You got to heal it. If you don't know how to heal it, come talk to somebody on how to get that done. Especially if it's something that you can't get past and you want to get past. I think a lot of times we want the change in how we feel and how we look at things. We don't know how to do it. People may tell us, oh, you should be over it, or oh, you gotta. The people can they projecting their own guilt. That's what it is. When folks come at you like that, they projecting their own stuff they dealing with on us. Why are you still crying behind it? That's because y'all still crying behind something. Now you want to make the people feel bad because they feeling something. At least you can express it, but taking that time out to be self-aware, sitting with your feelings, understanding where they come from, changing your mindset about that. We all was raised a certain way, and we believe certain things, and we behave certain ways in response to certain things that's unique to us because of how we grew up and how things were modeled for us. And then we have our own perspective in life based on experiences and different things we've encountered. It might not be the best outlook on life of certain things, And that's where we go back and we try to figure out, okay, this is what I believe. This is not a healthy belief or a healthy way I'm dealing with this. A lot of people want to know why. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I doing this? You can go search back in your brain, family history or life history, and determine, okay, that's where they came from. And we stop there a lot. That's where it came from, period. My family didn't hug me, period. Okay, I'm glad we understand the source. Now we got to heal it. So how do we get to the hugs and all this other stuff? How do we get to that place? We have to talk to ourselves. We have to be able to affirm the change that we desire. We have to be able to manifest the change that we desire. We have to be able to sit with that journal once again and, remind ourselves of the change that we want. And we can retrain our mindset. We can retrain our beliefs. We can change our beliefs that we've had for probably 40 years to something different. It can be done. It's going to take time, commitment, effort, and being intentional.
Yeah. There's a question down there in the comments that I think is pretty awesome. He asks, why do people rush grief? And the first thing that popped in my mind is it because people don't have an understanding of grief, or they think grieving and mourning is the same thing? Like, why do people rush grief?
Because is grieving and mourning the same thing?
I think it's just a different words, so meaning the same thing. I think some people think mourning is just the crying part of it, and then grief is all the other stuff. But I think that's really all part of it. You can call it grief.
I think mourning is for everyone else, and grieving is for you. I think it's the expression. I think mourning is more seen, more public. For the onlookers, and that grieving is that inward. It looks more on the inside as opposed to what's going on the outside. But I think it's because a lot of people probably don't understand it, and that's probably why they rush it, why they rush grief.
I think a lot of it is control. I'm not shows my emotions. I'm in this state of anxiety. I'm depressed. I'm feeling guilty. I can't sleep at night. Every time I think about something, I want to cry. And I think people rush that state of emotions, especially if we don't allow ourselves to feel feelings on a regular basis. And we're dealing with life stressors and different things that are going on. And we stuff those things and keep on moving, or we numb ourselves and keep on moving. When this big thing happens like grief, you really can't turn it off. You can drink. You're going to wake up still grieving, even with all your other problems. Even everything else is going to still be the same in the morning. And I think that's that one emotional state of being that people don't like being in because they can't control it. It's a process that that's why there's no expiration date. It's a process, and you have to allow yourself to feel. A lot of people don't want to feel nothing.
Yeah.
They don't want to feel. Baby's born, people, the baby, they don't want to feel that either. I don't know. People don't want to feel. I don't know, it's a fear of emotions or a feel of being vulnerable. Maybe the vulnerability that comes, to have to admit that something has occurred that makes you emotional. Because if people teach their kids, don't cry, and this person wants to cry because my grandma died, but I can't cry, then I want to hurry up and get over this so I can go back to whatever. And I think that's why they rush it. And I think people project that onto people, because if I see you crying and know that my family say I ain't supposed to be crying, you better stop that crying, because that's what I've been taught. Instead of teaching people it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to allow yourself to feel those things. It's okay to not have control. This is how we can gain that control, as far as giving yourself those moments to feel that and allowing yourself to gracefully keep moving. Don't do that. We beat ourselves up a lot too.
I've been guilty of that. You just don't want to get attached sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's in relationships, to people. Because you don't know what it looks like on the other side. And, those possibilities are scary. And I know that it's not healthy to live our lives like that.
Mm-hmm.
But all I'm saying is I have in the past been guilty of that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all.
I was having a conversation with my dad a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, of course, grieving. We were speaking about my grandmother, and he said, he said, she's been gone almost 20 years, and I still haven't made it to the mountaintop to scream yet. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And he said, because of course, when she passed, he had to be strong he felt he had to be strong for his kids, for his siblings when he's the baby. But he felt like he had to be strong for them and everybody else. And as my father being a bishop, he does a lot of funerals. So when you add that on and add that on to siblings he's lost over the years, to friends, to other family and stuff like that, now 20 years has gone by and he still hasn't grieved for his own mother.
Yeah. That's
That's
tough.
deep.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And he can start whenever he gets ready to release whatever that hold is, that boundary he has to try to be tough for everybody and get into it. Because it doesn't mean, well, if I didn't do it from day one, that it can't be done. You can grieve, you can release is those denial of emotions. You can allow yourself to feel all that stuff at any point in time. It could be 20 years, it could be 30 years, it could be 2 months. If you wasn't feeling it, to allow yourself to feel it, to be able to talk to somebody, to be able to, get support, whatever you need to do that. I can imagine when you have to be strong for everybody and you have your moments of your own vulnerability. As a therapist, I have clients that are grieving and all kinds of stuff going on. And so there's a wall you put up. You put up this wall so you don't absorb that energy. I'm there enough to give you the empathy that you need. I'm with you. I'm riding with you. I'm trying to be emotionally supportive and all those things. But I don't allow that energy. I don't take on that energy of that grieving person. It's a wall that you put up. And I can imagine being a minister or pastor, what have you, that there's a wall that you put up too, enough to show empathy, but not to feel it, maybe feeling everybody's stuff. You got some people that do, and they be all over the place, and they got to figure that one out. But to put that wall up, but then to allow yourself to breathe in your own right. When I was going through, I had my cancer diagnosis, I had my surgery. I had a cousin that passed away from cancer. He was one that I hadn't really seen him in a minute. But, I put it on social media about my journey, and he had reached out and told me he had been battling cancer for 14 or 15 years. He passed. I had a little cousin that was killed, and I'm still moving. I'm still going. I'm still doing a trauma and grief group, and I'm still going. And it wasn't until my shadow work coach was a special guest, in November? And we were talking, beforehand, and she was like, "You're grieving." I'm like, shit, I guess I am. Even for me, it was like, oh, I guess I am. And so really the holidays, I grieved because I realized maybe I was holding stuff in, not intentionally, but just moving, And when she mentioned that, I had to release. And I allowed myself to grieve. It was a lot of stuff that had went on, the anniversary of my uncle passing, all the trauma from that and all this other stuff. And so I really had to just allow myself to acknowledge that I was grieving, and to basically tell myself everything that I tell everybody else, that it is okay for me to feel these things. It's okay for me to lay out what I didn't do. I had all these plans for the holiday. I'm going to do this and that. Child, I was in the bed. And I allowed myself that moment to take that time to be able to do it. Then I was sick too, child. Whatever was going around, I had something to, the crud came a few times. But I had to allow myself in that moment because I'm a person that's gone doing this. I'm here doing the podcast. I'm doing all these things. And I really had to slow it down and just say, okay, God, here it is. And I acknowledged my feelings and I honored my feelings in those moments. So yeah, it can sneak up on you. You can, you know, but I think once we become aware, that's when we act differently. That's when we, you know, instead of pushing it out away, we just embrace the things that we're feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I know for me, even with me going through therapy, um, there's been some trauma situations that's come up where I could say I was triggered. And going back using the tools that I'm learning in therapy, instead of trying to push it out of sight, out of mind, I had to go through those steps and think, okay, what is this? Why do I feel like this? What happened? And go just through the whole steps of realizing and be like, it's like that aha moment kicks in. You like, that's where that came from. This is why this is connected to this. And when you start to kind of put those pieces together that you didn't push back or just not knowing why the whys, and you start realizing the whys, um it's like this whole moment of achievement, because a lot of us don't realize the trauma that we have because they look at it as it's just life. It's not trauma, it's just life.
Yeah.
It could be life, but it still doesn't mean that it didn't cause you some trauma or affect you in a certain way. So when you can actually put those pieces together on why this and why this, or this is where they came from, it's just like that. It's like a trophy on the shelf. Like, ha, I got that. Let me acknowledge this moment that I got that and that understanding. And usually when you get to that moment, not saying you won't be triggered, you may and may not be triggered, but you have a better way of being able to address it without the other side effects you may tend to have. Because I know some of my trauma has caused me my anxiety be off kilter prior, but now it's like I can see it, I can address it, and I acknowledge it, and I'm able to move past it.
And you said that was profound, because a lot of times we don't know what trauma truly looks like. We think about people in war. We think that. We think domestic violence. Okay, I didn't have none of that going on. We think maybe a house fire. Okay, my house didn't catch on fire. We don't realize that words, actions, different things that occur can be traumatic. I remember when I was first going through my shadow work coaching, we had a shadow work group, and they were talking about trauma, and I, didn't realize I had any trauma. I'm like, well, and I had a big trauma, but I think that was buried. And I didn't realize that that was something that was affecting me, because I'm thinking about child abuse, like being beaten and stuff like that. But that's some, but there are other things that are traumatic, and it had me really digging deep and looking at my own stuff like, oh, well, that was okay. And I understand now how that affected how I move and do all these different things. So I think ideally we think of trauma in one sense of something really, really scary that happened as just life threatening, or you almost died or something like that. And it could that is, but then there are some other things that are traumatic as well, and we don't realize because sometimes it feels normal. I get a lot of people who had abuse in the homes, or some dysfunctional homes, or a lot of different stuff going on. They thought it was normal. They thought these different ways they were being treated and mistreated were normal because that's what they saw every day. That's what they saw. It wasn't until they went to somebody else's house or got to see something different they realized, wow, I had some crap going on in my childhood. And so people don't know, and that's the thing, people don't know. People don't know until it shows up in ways we don't want it to. It could be relationship issues. It could be anxiety. It could be depression. It could be all of those things, how it shows up. And we have to really sit and analyze what happened in your life. I think when people come to therapy, they think, give me some coping techniques and I'm good. Well, that's just putting a Band-Aid on it. If you really want to heal it, I got to ask you about your childhood. You know, I'll get people that come to therapy that maybe had a previous therapist and they're like, well, I worked out all that with my therapist. Here I am right now. Well, that's nice, but I'm a new therapist and I need to know what that was because here we are now, but how did we get to the now? You know, so it's a timeline. I have to find out what happened back then, you know, to bring us to right now because, okay, I can maybe help you change a few things as it relates to right now. But if I don't get to the source, you may just be going through motions and not really changing your outlook and your mindset and your belief system about something that was embedded in you as a child. And you don't even know. You don't know. You don't know why. If you don't go back there and look at it and see why.
And that's interesting that you brought that up because, and I'm going the opposite way, but as we're getting older, right? Like I'm 47 years old. So there's things that my mind still thinks my body can do, but my body disagrees. And I have a friend, you know, she's a couple years older than me, and she's realizing that she's dealing with perimenopausal, right? And so just some of the things that she explains to me, right? And then understanding now that she's grieving a lot also.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's important to understand also sometimes just getting older.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like them knees.
Oh man, I was crying today. I was crying on the elliptical, literally.
Yeah.
Tears in my eyes.
So, question. So, how does trauma impact grief?
Trauma and grief pretty much go hand in hand. A person's trauma can cause grief. Grief can cause trauma. So they're pretty much cousins to each other. Trauma can affect how you grieve because if you dissociate because of some past trauma, then yeah, you're not gonna feel or probably remember anything that happened. You know, so it can have that effect, especially if you lose a loved one and that was your bread and butter, the person that took care of everything, and they're no longer there, and they, you know, kind of saved you from a lot of stuff and helped you with a lot of stuff, and now you feel like at a loss because you totally dependent on this person. That could be traumatic.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a person killed and shot up and stuff. God help us, you know. But it could be just the fact that this was the person that took care of everything, and now here I am kind of by myself. Or maybe that was the family member you had, and now you're there by yourself. That can have, you know, traumatic implications. That could definitely cause some trauma. Different events that occur, things that happen. I'll give you one example. The whole Black Lives Matter, that the whole situation with the police. It wasn't my story, but I watched it on TV. It was real scary. Nobody want to see men and women getting killed. You know, you don't know if you go somewhere and stop, is that gonna happen to you? That's traumatic. Seeing that poor man getting killed on TV, that was a lot. That's traumatic. Now I have trauma because of that. I'm feeling away, and because my sense of safety is gone, now I'm grieving.
All right.
Right with that. And so that's real. Now people don't realize that I ain't never been over there. I've never met the gentleman, never met any of these folks that passed away. That's not my story. God help me. The police ain't stopped and did me nothing like that. But I watched that on TV. And I can be traumatized because of something I viewed. And that's real. That wasn't a movie. I done seen movies with worse, but we know that's fake. You know, It's real life, real people, and that happened. And I'm traumatized. And as an African American, a Black American in this country, I am grieving because my sense of safety, my sense to help me is gone. So yes, people can experience those things and have trauma and then don't realize it.
Yeah.
Don't realize it. For me, they didn't come to my house and had the wrong house and shoot me. You know what I'm saying? And I might fear that could happen because hell, it could. Who knows? Well, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
Who truly knows?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's interesting that you said that because I was having a conversation about with somebody about the community. I don't like. I'm trying to get away from calling it the hood, but about the black community
Okay.
and the low income stuff, and we were talking about that. And one of the things I was trying to get them to understand that a lot of the actions and things that occur in our community is because of trauma,
Mm-hmm.
because of not trauma that actually happened to us, but trauma that we either see, have been passed down, have impacted us in some way. And now that we're sitting here talking about grief and things of that nature, I'm wondering what do you think about the concept of the community is grieving um how we've been treated, grieving all the I guess the milestones and things that happened to us in the past.
We definitely are. You can be born black and be full of trauma and grief just because you born black because of the stuff that's passed down in our DNA, in our neural system. When people have experienced trauma, it's amazing. It's amazing how if you know how they do those scans of how the brain go and how all this stuff goes. A person who experienced trauma and they dealing with depression and anxiety, it changes how your chemical makeup is. It
Yep.
changes all those things. And you have a baby, guess what that baby got?
Yep.
And ain't nothing happened to the baby. Baby just as innocent as every day and every day. And because that was passed down through generations and generations because of the trauma that people endured. My mama might not endure no trauma like that, but you know, somebody was a slave. Somebody did some Jim Crow. Somebody experienced some things. I can only imagine being alive with the lynching, being alive with the night riders,
Mhm.
knowing that just because I'm black, just because I have a business, just because I'm trying to live my life, some people are intimidated by that and want
Yep.
to take me out and make an example of me and will hang me from a tree because they're trying to invoke fear so we don't do anything different. I couldn't do it. I don't know. Have mercy for the people who survived that. And guess what? All that is passed on. So if you want to say, they say slavery didn't happen, child. So I guess I don't know, the book's wrong. But let's say it didn't. Okay. But Jim Crow show did because we got,
Yep. Yep.
you know, we can skip all that other Atlantic, all them folk going over the boat. They say that was fake too, child. They ain't putting no people on no boats. I'm like, okay, that's say it didn't. All right, y'all. But Jim Crow did. We saw all that. We saw Emmett Till. We saw all those different things just in that particular era of time. And we have crack epidemics, and we have all
Yep.
the things that happen. Unfortunately, I believe, and I believe it, a lot of what we're seeing with our children, why the children falling out, flipping out, they aggressive, they help them Jesus, they doing all kind of stuff. Why the children acting out? It's the social media. Well, turn it off then if y'all think that's what it is, but they're gonna still act out because they have experienced trauma. Their DNA is traumatized, and the stuff that probably happens in their world is traumatic in itself. And then we have social media, and we do have social media. It plays its role. And we have reality shows, and we have people that go live. They've been killing enough people. They done went live killing folk and all kind of junk. That
Yeah.
stuff is real. And these children watching this, and they playing it back, and they giving commentary on it and TikTok views and all this other stuff. And they don't realize how it's affecting all of this stuff. It's affecting it. And so when
Mental.
we
Yeah.
doing all that, yeah, our community have dealt with poverty and crime and all this stuff, violence. Yeah, the people gonna be traumatized. They're doing what traumatized people do. That's the behavior you see. Why they acting like that? Unhealed trauma. Now the solution is Let's heal it. Let's bring some mental health. Let's make mental health accessible in those communities.
Yeah.
Let's break the stigma. Let's get them to understand what they're feeling. Let's educate them on why they're feeling that way. You know, the tough part is nobody wants to own their emotions. Nobody wants to feel it. Nobody wants to acknowledge it. I'm fine. Why are you vaping? I'm good. Is your nerves bad? No. Well, how you feel? Man, that's why I asked the kids at school. If you coping with something, I ain't coping with nothing. Okay. Well, what's going on? I don't know. I'm just bored. Okay. Well, how do you feel when you use it? It calms me down. So what do you call me? Then I go there. Anybody die in your family? Well, my grandmother died a couple years. Okay, bam. But they don't know. They can't say, I am feeling this way because of this. They don't know. They just going. And they trying to cope. And they using dope and whatever else they can use. Because they just don't know.
I've been saying that forever. Since I was young. I was like, I started putting two and two together. Like, that's why folks get high. That's why folks get drunk. And then as I got older, it made more sense because I realized that our community worked Monday through Friday just to make it to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Ooh.
And it's like, and I feel like it's a disservice to us because we are better than that. We're built better than that. But and like a lot of the stuff I'm thinking of now is like I didn't think of till recently, which I'm 40-something. I'm 47 years old too, and I'm just like, if I'd have known half this shit when I was 20, 21, I probably would have made a better impact on the community than what I did at that time.
You can always start today, my brother.
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me, I'm starting.
Always start today. That's why your PSA Larneka does free grief support groups every month. That's why I do that. I make those groups free. I have some interns, so I make free therapy with them. I got some contracts with some folks that can bring therapy free to the resident support office. Thank you for the city health department. They got a grant, and so we're doing it. And so my goal now is to make therapy accessible to those communities. I will be in the hood. Okay. I'm not from the hood. I'm from Port Arthur. That's the country. I'm not a hood girl. I don't know that experience, but I will go to the hood and I will reach out to the people. I'll collaborate with groups that go to the hood so I can go there as well. And so I can advocate in regards to mental health. So I can have mental health accessible to them. Hey, you've been dealing with some stuff. People don't want to admit that, so they kind of look at me like I'm crazy, and that's okay. Because I speak in language. I got anxiety too. I know about some stuff. I've had my own traumas, and so if I can get their attention long enough, if I can get them to come on and get that therapy, I don't want it to be because I don't take Medicaid, because I don't have an office and they won't credential me. I don't want it to be because it costs too much. I don't want it to be because a babysitter is virtual. If y'all can get on TikTok, y'all can get on therapy.
Yeah, say it again.
You got Wi-Fi. Hook up to the McDonald's Wi-Fi, okay? Go and get on something so you can talk to your therapist in your car or outside on your porch. So that's my thing. That's my goal, is to try to bring mental health awareness, make it accessible, get our people to heal. The vape company making a good killing, trying to help them to cope with it. And I need that same energy to come to therapy. I need that same energy. If y'all can go buy that, come over here. You got $10, I can get you a good 30-minute session with one of the interns. Come on.
There you go. Bam. Affordable.
Yeah. And so I think that's where we are. I think as we know, we can do better. We can do more. At that time, you didn't know. I didn't know. I'm 46. I'll be 47 this year. I'm going to be there. Now I know a little bit more. When I started off being a therapist, my goal was to keep people out of prison because I was a parole officer. And I was young. I was in my 20s, and I saw these young guys, and they were young. They were young with like 70-year sentences. And after talking with them, interviewing them for parole, learning about their life history, they had stuff. And it's like, man, if somebody could have been there to try to show you a different way, tell you something different, help you heal, help you make better decisions, even though ultimately a person has their own mind and free will to do what they want. But if you're lost and unhealed, if somebody can help you through that, then perhaps you may make a better decision and not do whatever you did to end up in prison. And that's how I got into education. I be trying to catch them. I be trying to talk to them, trying to help them out. Sometimes they hear me, sometimes they don't. But I try. I'm one person. And if I can do that, everybody that's listening, y'all want to help your community, hey, all we got to do is try to reach out. Try to reach them, reach as many people as we can. I tell anybody, try to reach them however you can, Okay, I like that. Bring them $10, child. Come on, we got you.
Man, I'm saying.
You the $10 therapist, I sure am. Come on, we got some folks that will definitely see you for $10. Come on.
I like that.
I like that
every semester. So come on.
That's awesome.
So check it out. I'm gonna steer the conversation in another direction. But still dealing with grief. Is there like how do people, once they get to that point, will like go through all the 7 stages and get to a point? How does a person continue to deal with that new norm after that?
They may still get triggered and feel some things. They just have to allow themselves to feel it, understand why they are feeling it, and focus on their intentions and goals of moving forward. When you set intentions for your life, when you set goals for yourself, it helps you to maneuver through life. If we just go to work, come home, go to work, come home, go to work, come home. Okay, that we job, we need something in between there. If it is a hobby, if it is working out, if it is going to be a part of church or some social group or some kind of thing like that, we need something to help us to cope and deal. Coping techniques are great. Healing, coping, all those two go together. If we just do cope and no heal, that's not going to be good. So I think, as you heal, as you learn, as you develop your new norm, having some goals, having some outlook on your life. What do you want your life to look like? I need to lose 20 pounds. Okay, now how am I going to do that? I need to change my diet. Okay, let me find a nutritionist or go talk to somebody and see what I need to do differently. I need to join a gym or find an area, a space to work out in. YouTube videos is free to work out, and let that be your focus. If that's the only place you start. My health is a thing. I don't want to be sick and get the cancer like my grandma died with cancer. I want to make certain I'm eating healthy foods. And so that's a goal. That's an intention. That's a goal. And so each day, all right, what's a new recipe? Because I'm tired of eating, just cabbage without the stuff. I need something new. What else can I do? And you might even join the group. We got some new recipes online, or go to a face-to-face thing. Let's go to some cooking class or something. The vegan folk be having all it, and I ain't knocking the vegans, but the vegan folk have all these different, girl, you can make you some chitlins out of vegans. I'm like, child, okay. And you can look, she's covering her face up. I ain't knocking there. If a vegan chitlins,
I ain't knocking either. But the chickenless chicken and the chicken that you actually using mushrooms and you calling it chicken, no, them is mushrooms.
Yeah,
that's not chicken. We gonna call it what it is. You're not finna play with my feelings and emotions and call a mushroom some fried mushroom fried chicken. No.
You see, it's a mind play. I was trying to do it. I was a part-time vegan for a moment. I couldn't get with it was the ground meat that did me out. That ground vegan meat was awful. And some people say you get some pawns or something and do that. I don't know. But it's the texture. The texture is what plays our mind to think we eating chicken. There's a popular vegan restaurant in Houston, Mo Better. Mo Better Brews, and it was something that was supposed to be like chicken. I think it was. I don't know if it was mushrooms or it was cauliflower. It was one of them, but the texture. I think it was a chicken and waffle type situation. I think it was actually cauliflower, but the texture.
They messed up already.
The texture gave you the appeal that it was chicken. It was a texture, and they put the right seasonings on it. It was good. It was good in that moment. But then my palate changed when I started eating real chickens again, and that was over for me. But I'm not knocking the people if that's their journey. Amen. Go for it, vegans.
No.
Hey, y'all do y'all thing.
Hey, I ain't knocking it either because I really want to try it. I just don't know what to try, what that meal would be to first try. But I'm very interested in trying it. But I just don't need nobody lying to me. If it's mushroom, it's mushroom. If it's cauliflower, it's cauliflower. If it's tofu, it's tofu. Don't call it chicken because that ain't what the hell it is. Chicken clucks.
Yeah. So you could go on that journey. Like that could be your journey. That could be your thing that you focus on with your new norm. It's like, okay, I've accepted my loved one is no longer here. I understand my stages of grief. I recognize my triggers gonna come up during the holidays and birthdays and stuff. I already know what I'm gonna do with that. In the meantime, what's gonna keep me and help me to focus on me and not focus on the loss? Finding something. I'm gonna go on a vegan journey and find me some whatever recipes and try to do all that and go out to try some vegan restaurants maybe once a month, go to something new and do something. And that's your goal. That's your outlook of how you want your life to be. Or you get into the arts. Maybe you want to paint or something and go to the painting with twists and all these other painting things in the art gallery and let that be your thing. You got to find something that interests you to kind of help take your mind off of the loss and other stressors that you have.
Agreed. I definitely agree. And I think even if you're not grieving, I think you should still be open to trying new things, to stepping out that comfort zone.
So I don't know about the vegan chitlins, child. You tell me how that was. I don't eat chitlins anyway, but I don't know.
I don't eat them. Yeah, I don't eat them no more. So I ain't. I don't miss that. I don't do pork like. I'll be sick as a dog. I can't do it. So yeah, we ain't gonna. We good on that one. So we're gonna get ready to close out because I know it's storming here and I don't know how much the storm going on. I seen a little light flash like this, like that was a warning, like, hey,
it's coming.
We finna cut up real bad in a hot second. So you might want it was like that warning. So I was like, I caught it. We're gonna go and close out because you're not already flashed at me. So DA, how you wanna go out tonight, sir? Your closings, your outro.
Okay, since I got the flow. Nah, just like sitting back and taking in everything that was saying and some of the things that I came up with thinking about it is you have to allow yourself to grieve and allow yourself the time to grieve. It's not a race, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Something we say in the Army, you got to hunt the good stuff. You got to look for the positive in situations. You got to remember the good times versus the bad times versus the times when they are not here. You also have to allow yourself to feel, and that's a big one because, like we say it all the time, and we joke about it. Men aren't allowed to cry. Black men aren't allowed to have emotions. The only emotion we can have is anger and aggression.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to us because we're more than just a pissed off, the angry black man. We're more than just a nigga. Like, so we have to start first by accepting and allowing ourselves to feel and not denying our feelings. And then, last but not least, we have to understand there will be a new norm. It's not going to be the same way. It's not going to go back to the way it was before you started grieving. It's not. And we don't And I'm taking this to heart because I realized that all the people that I lost, and I'm realizing it now, which is crazy, sitting on this show, all the people that I lost, they're gone. There's no coming back. They're not coming back. It don't matter how much you try to reminisce. Doesn't matter how much you wish. They're not coming back. So you have to accept this. This is the new norm. You're not going to be able to hear their voice. You're not going to be able to have that one conversation you wished you had. And that's okay. That's okay. But let that be for you. Those conversations that you had, let that be for you. And accept it. And that's all I got to, that's the best way I could put it.
Yeah, it's good words, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, good words.
DJ?
Yeah, I would say first of all, we've got so accustomed to living a life, of trauma and grief. I feel like we need to reacclimate, to living a life that's not associated, especially our everyday life. It's okay to expect good things, to expect great things, but I love the fact that Larneka said that we have to be self-aware, that we have to know ourselves and what we're dealing with. And I think that's important in order for us to reacclimate to that healthy lifestyle, to properly addressing our feelings, our emotions, and communicating those things. So when someone asks what's wrong, we're able to express it. We're able to connect with people, not being afraid to connect because of trauma and not properly grieving. So let's do the work. Let's reacclimate. Let's expect a healthy emotional life that's not filled with depression and anxiety because we were unable to properly grieve. That's all I got.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right. Larnika.
I think these brothers said it all. Allow yourself to feel what you feel. It is okay to grieve. It is okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to reach out for help. It's okay to take time for yourself if you're having a bad day. It's okay to rest. Okay. It's okay to cry in front of your kids. That's another one right there. It's okay for men to cry. I think that we as a people have been taught to be strong. But I think the strongest thing that you can do is to allow yourself to feel those emotions. That takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable, even with yourself, you know. And so, come follow me. I'm talking about trauma and grief. I'm talking about a lot of things that help us. If you don't have to be in Texas, you could be anywhere to join the trauma and grief support group. Our next one is February the 27th, 6:30, 7:30 p.m. Central. Go to my website, www.lavalislpc.com, or hit me up on social media, Larneka Lavalais LPC PLL. That's a lot, huh? And you can sign up. You can register to join us. All you need is Zoom. All you need is a Zoom. But you owe it to yourself to feel better, to do better. This is your life. And if you don't like the way it feels, if you don't like the way you've been living, you have the power and the ability to change that. That's what I got.
Very nice.
Y'all done summed it all up, like put all the pieces together for me. But I loved what all of y'all said, and they're very valuable pieces on this journey. But piggybacking off of what Larnika said, don't be afraid to feel. And a lot of times the Black community pushes so hard. You got to be strong, be strong, be strong. Hey, I'll tell you this. Last year, I got so goddamn tired of hearing you gotta be strong. You gotta be strong. And I've been strong since I came out the womb. Goddamn it, I'm tired of being strong. I want to be weak. Let me be weak. Let me feel my emotions. If I want to cry, if I want to have a temper tantrum, if I just want to lay in my damn bed and don't want to be bothered, if I want to eat a whole pack of chocolate chip cookies, let me have my damn moment. Let me feel my feels. Let me go through my emotions so I can have my time and let me come back out and I'm good. But to me, when people tell you that you got to be strong, to me it takes away that sense of self, that sense of your moment of having feelings and acknowledging where you are and what space you are in. It removes you from even somebody taking holding space for you because you're telling me to get out of it. Like I I don't do that shit no more. You don't like it, take your ass that way. I'ma feel my feels. I'ma have my moment. I'ma feel why I'm feeling like that. Because for me, part of my trauma was not having a voice and not being able to feel a certain way. So I held a lot in for years because I didn't have a voice and I didn't have a safe space to let my shit out. So now, fuck you.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
On whatever day, because yeah, I'm gonna say what I gotta say and I'm gonna feel what I gotta feel. And if you don't like it, take your ass on somewhere else. And that's just where it is. That's my whole feeling and attitude because I've always compromised for other people. So in this space in 2024, I am selfish about me and I'm gonna do what I want to do and I'm gonna feel how I want to feel because I'm working through some stuff. I'm going through therapy and I've come a long way and I'm not going to let nobody take that from me. So this is about me. This ain't the courtesy year. I'm not passing out courtesies to people. This is my space and this is about me and my journey that I'm on. So I'll tell you anybody, hey, yes, I do have a therapist. I had a trauma coach before, and I feel like at a point I outgrew her. So I found me somebody else to help me the rest of the way on this journey because it's about me and coming out of some places and healing from some things and not being triggered. So I am accountable for my stuff and where it is and why I'm in the space that I'm in. But the point is I want to come out of that space. So in that I have to have the tools and a person to help me on this journey. So do not be afraid to get you a therapist. Hope, I salute you. I am so happy that you have you somebody because I want that for you so bad. It's something on the other side of the trauma and the tears and the crying. It's something better over there than being stuck and being in the same place and feeling like you're not worthy and not deserving of good things. So I'm ecstatic for you. Um, get you a therapist. We even talked about the prices, so I don't want to hear nobody saying I can't afford it. There's affordable therapists. She done already told you what it is, how it is. Hell, I be on her grief. I be in them grief sessions. I'm front and center in the grief session. I don't care. If you don't like it, that's where I'm gonna be. I have my new therapist. I see it twice a week, and if I need to see it more than that, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna see it more than that, and don't care who don't like it. But don't let people keep holding you to their standard. And I think it's so easy for us to fall into that place of living somebody else's plan instead of living your own. Man, we in a different space and in a different season. Be selfish. If you ain't never been selfish before, be selfish right now. Be about you and doing what's best for you and what's gonna help take you out of that space into another level. We trying to elevate. Like real talk, we trying to elevate and be in some real spaces. And until you really start dealing with your shit, you don't realize that your trauma and all the other issues that you didn't have has kept you stuck and from going to that next level from where you're supposed to be. You robbing yourself. Real talk. So in that space, we thank y'all for tuning in tonight. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. For those that I know that have lost loved ones this year already, my condolences, and I send love and light to you. Get on this grief counseling session for real and reach out to a therapist because I know who need it big time. We will see y'all next Friday. Be safe because it's pouring down like cats and dogs outside right now. So definitely safe. Tune in, reach out to Larneka. I ain't gonna say that enough.
Reach out. Y'all getting good quality therapy for $10. Don't think it's some junk. I am an award-winning therapist. Okay, just FYI.
That part, because you know some people be quick to say, if it's cheap, you get what you pay for.
Child, look,
Well, you will be surprised how many. Exactly, and I was going to say that you will be surprised how many therapists are not in for the money; they're in it for healing the Black community. Real talk, and I'm running across a few of them that are about healing the community. They ain't trying to break your pocket and nothing else. They want you to come get this healing and be better and be greater than what you are to achieve that greater and better you. So I'm gonna need y'all to get on and get with it. Like real talk. Let's get it. Let's get it. So y'all be safe. Much love. Thank you, Larneka, for always, as always, for coming on tonight. I know we've been blessed tonight. Definitely been blessed tonight. So, and we will work on that next for that one segment that you want to do, because I think that's gonna
be for real. That's gonna be deep.
That's gonna be real deep. Y'all gonna have to get y'all tissue and stuff for that. It's not in there where it's gonna be one of them, but it's gonna help somebody. And that's what we at this podcast, that's what we are set up, and that is our vision to do, is to help people teach, educate, and address a lot of the things that are definitely not talked about in the Black community, and that's definitely taboo in the Black community. Them stigmas, we want to talk about that stuff. We want to hit the tough stuff. So here it is, and that's what we're gonna do. So again, be blessed, be safe, stay dry if you're anywhere around these little parts, and we will see y'all next week.
Yeah, what's up with it? Do it cause I love it and I stuck with it. We ain't with the subbing in the cut with it. Please none of the talks, I heard enough of it. Like, what you gonna do? Where you at? Who you with? You ain't really about this. Don't talk